Okay, well, I guess I referenced a little bit earlier that I come from a healthcare background, and I am in Canada, you're correct. So my stateful set experience with learning all these bells and whistles was that at the time we had asked if we could use some of their services, and the answer we got was, well, we cannot say for sure that the backup of your object storage will not go to an American facility, which violates all kinds of HIPAA rules around data residency.
Oh, this is good. We get data and politics, and particularly we're
control of your data. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this is really, really good.
So this is kind of where my tangent starts. Is well, we're a 3-person team supporting like 7 products. They all need healthcare compliance, and some of them are in Kubernetes, and some of them are in like data centers and VMs of various levels of management. So that's kind of how my team actually got into using Helm and Kubernetes. Was, well, we need these environments that we can keep control of our data, because we'd had a couple POC level, I think, environments that we'd set up where we couldn't have that control, or there was just other things with this goes back a bit into your previous question about like running it versus doing like a PaaS or a SaaS. We had some issues where like parts of our, I guess, database as a service, we couldn't control it to the point that we needed to, either to restrict it down or to open it to specific like specific hospital ports that needed to be able to communicate from a very specific one. Couldn't do it because that was on their end. And so kind of going down this rabbit hole of how do we learn how to do state? How do we, like, we had to do our own Postgres cluster was one of our asks for management. We're kind of like, none of us are Postgres experts. And having that kind of Helm chart and learning, all right, now that it does this, what kind of, like, how big does this need to be? Does it, like, how does it scale? How do we learn it? It was a really big rabbit hole, and it was really hard to learn between all of the different tools, the different deadlines, and the different specifics. And sometimes you'd run into problems like with Sentry. I'm almost done, I promise.
No,
I feel like I'm taking up so much time.
No.
With Sentry, we had this infamous problem that I think it took us about 12 weeks to solve, where we ran it as a Docker Compose and it worked, and we ran it as a VM and it worked. And we needed to get mobile, so Android, iOS, as well as web information for these healthcare apps. And we really specifically wanted for crash logs, and they would go into Sentry and then they would just kind of disappear. Like, we'd look in the logs and we'd see it was there. There was no errors. Everything seemed fine. You'd see the information come in and then it was just gone. And so this kind of comes back to state in that what had happened was the original person who had wrote it had taken the Docker Compose file and just kind of moved it over to the Helm chart. The problem here was that the Helm chart basically tried to multi-mount pods to the same volume. So it had multiple ones trying to write to the same volume, and it was just kind of silently failing in the background. It took 3 of us like 8 weeks to find because there was no errors anywhere. So it was just like, what's happening? And it's just, it can be a lot to learn state. It is difficult, it is hard, and it's hard to know when you've got it right. So yeah, I'm kind of, I'll just stop now.
That was really, really good.